How's it going, everybody?
You know who it is.
My name is Sunwoo, and in today's video we are gonna take a look at a couple of modules which I think make the perfect pair for hands-on EURORACK modulation, and these are the Acid Rain Technology Myestro as well as the Vostok Instruments ASSET. So let's take a look what these two modules are all about. The Acid Rain Myestro can either run on an internal clock that you can set up by pressing the clock button and then starting it or stopping it and setting different time divisions. You can also tap tempo or just make it slower or faster, or you can even set a random tempo by pressing random and then clock. Everything's super easy, but in this case I want to run it from the OPZ's tempo. So I go into the clock input, and now I'm going to send the clock signal from the OPZ into the clock input. And we can even choose to use different clock divisions of this tempo and change whatever the modulation is doing on the module, therefore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take for now one of Myestro's channels, feed it into the asset and then into whatever I want to modulate. And why I think these two make such a great pair is because the Myestro has exactly 6 channels and the asset also has 6 channels, and the asset can do some things that you might want to do in combination with the Myestro, which is offsetting signals and attenuating them. So let's take channel number 1's output, go into the input of channel number 1, then take the output of channel number 1 and put it in the Mordax data in order for us to see what's going on with the signal. Alright, so let's take a look at how to set up modulation within Myestro first. We've got 6 buttons down here that can select the different channels. Channel 1 through 6. Right now we're going to use channel 1 because that's the one we got connected, and over here you can see its waveform. If I press down the button for channel 1, I'll see the type of waveform that I've selected as well as the tempo. So if I change the tempo, you will see the ramp up goes a lot slower or faster. I can also make it even slower by pressing the slow button, and now these time divisions here mean that I can either play the tempo of 2 beats, so my modulation is now 2 beats long, 4 beats, 8 beats, 16, and so on. But let's make it a bit faster again. So that's how easy I can select the timing of my modulation. I can also really quickly change the waveform, so let's select a square wave, or a triangle, or a random wave. And what's also really cool is I can smooth out these waveforms. So now I've got a smooth random modulation. But maybe let's select a triangle that's smooth, which is a sine wave. So now we're running the modulation into the filter mod. And you can immediately hear that this is quite extreme and probably not the kind of amount of modulation that we would want. One thing that was introduced in a later firmware update in the Myestro is attenuation of the signals, because that's something many people asked for and they have implemented it. If you press mute and high at the same time, you can now select a level of attenuation for the current channel. So I could set the attenuation to 50%, 25%, and so on and so forth, which is pretty cool. I really like that they did implement it. I'm going to turn it back to normal for now. However, this is not as hands-on as it could be, and also there is no offset as far as I can see, which also is very important. And that's where the Vostok asset comes in. So here we've got 6 channels of attenuation as well as offset. So I could attenuate this now, make the modulation weaker, however much I want. And I can also offset the modulation, meaning moving it around to wherever I want to have it. But what if I want to change it into the negative? That is also possible because I've got these switches here, both for the attenuator and the offset. And now I'm going to offset it in a negative fashion. So I can basically sweep through the whole spectrum of my filter using this module now and take the signal that I'm getting from the Myestro and really fine-tune it to suit whatever modulation needs I have. And this, in my opinion, makes it very playable and very usable, especially if the modules you are attaching this modulation to don't have built-in attenuators or any offset or whatever. And this switch over here, as I said before, this is inverting the incoming signal, so we got negative modulation from the get-go if we want. That again, we can attenuate and offset however we want. So I think you can see how the addition of the asset really helps you to get the most out of Myestro, which already in itself is a great module and has so many possibilities to creating modulations in it, but the asset just makes it a little bit more hands-on and I think is a really great partner to it. And of course they also look amazing next to one another, which is very important. So let's play this again. And something I haven't mentioned yet is that you can also see these numbers here that are lit up, and depending on if the voltage is negative or positive, they change their color. So now you can see we're going from blue into red. Red is positive, blue is negative. Now we're only in the negative. So very cool indicators of what's going on with the voltage coming into it, and you immediately know if this channel is actually doing something, if it's receiving a signal or not, and how high the signal is. So I think that's pretty cool, and yeah, just looks fantastic in the rack. Alright, now let's step it up a little bit, because the Myestro can not only produce simple waveforms like squares and triangles and so on, you can produce full-on automation that you would do in a DAW environment, meaning you can at first ramp up, then keep the waveform high for, I don't know, 3 beats long, then make it low, then make a square wave and triangle, and so on. So you can chain multiple waveforms together to create a long chain of modulation. And the way to do this is to press the chain button, and now we can enter a chain. Let's start with a ramp up, ramp down, keep it low for a while, go high a bit, do a triangle, triangle down, and yeah, let's just leave it there and see what happens. We press chain again in order to save it, and now it prompts us to select which channel we want to assign this chain to. Channel 2, Bam, done. Let's press play and see what happens. We've got slow modulation, different wave shapes, fast modulation, again different wave shapes, so all kinds of things going on. And of course, we can enter a new chain if we wanted to. High, low, this, and maybe even smooth it out. And we've got it changed now. Smooth the whole chain out now. And this one is obviously a bit faster. Pretty cool. So I think you get the idea how these two work together. Now let's just modulate a few more parameters. So I'm gonna cable some stuff up and see what happens. So again, drums going through Icarie. We've got some relatively fast modulation of the filter going on that we can make more intense or less intense. Now I'm gonna send some samples and some more melodic stuff into the qubit data bender that's somewhere over there. And I'm gonna use channel number 4 to send a random wave into the freeze input of data bender, so we don't have it ratcheting the whole time. So that was channel number 4, random waveform. Just a second. No offset on this one. And I'm going to turn on the visualization. And channel number 3, I'm going to send into the bend input of the data bender, which will make the pitch go crazy. Most likely not in tune, but it doesn't matter. Whoa, that's a bit high. Let me turn this down first. Yeah. So it's changing the pitch of these repeats, and again, I could make this slower, for example, get a tape stop effect. Of course, this might not sound musical in all cases, but you can see how easy it is just to quickly change a channel. Which one was it? Was it number 3 or 4? Yeah, 3. You know, I could also give this one random modulation, and now the pitch of the repeats is also random. But I like the slow down effect. Not quite as slow maybe. And how about one more channel of modulation? I am going to modulate the vinyl crackle effect, this one, on data bender. Again, let's put it through Vostok first. Through Asset by Vostok, and then go into the crackle input. So that's channel number 5. And I make this slow. And because it's offset, it's not working yet. And let's use the last channel of Myestro and go into the break input of Data Bender, which will make us scan through whatever's in the freeze buffer. And the cool thing is now we got all these modulations at our fingertips, attenuation and offset right here, and timing divisions and different waveforms all here, quickly accessible and very nice. You could even invert them if you want to, all kinds of fun things. Yeah. And to me this makes a very fun combo to play with, because once you got everything hooked up and you've got the parameters put in that you want to modulate and so on, you can just turn a few knobs and really something weird might come out. Either good or not, but still fun to play around with. And of course there are many other things you can do with these modules. Asset, for example, is not just useful in combination with the Myestro, but will be useful in whichever EURORACK setup you have, because you always need attenuation, offset and inversion, and it packs 6 channels of it in such a small footprint. It's got these beautiful LED indicators that show you exactly what's going on, and it also is very well built. It feels very sturdy, all the pots are sturdy and everything, so definitely a very useful module. And the Acid Rain Myestro can also do so much more than what I've shown so far. For example, each of these channels can be put into one-shot mode. That means whichever waveform I have set up for the channel, or whichever chain of waveforms, can be triggered and then fired off once. So you can have very pinpointed modulation at certain points in your set or your song, for example, and trigger them once. They will run through and then stop. And they will stop at whichever voltage was selected last with your waveforms. Furthermore, you can also save these states of the Myestro, so you can have, I think, up to 14 different states saved, so with all the modulation and so on. So it's ideal for if you want to play live and want to have something prepared, some kind of modulation for different songs and so on. So really cool what you can do with this. And yeah, I think the Myestro and the Asset make the perfect pair for modulation within a EURORACK setup. But let me know what you think. Do you have experience with these two modules? If so, let me know down in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, have a wonderful time. Peace.